You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Hello everyone and welcome to a spooky, spectacular, super mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host Stephen White, and with me is my co-host Lacey Finley.
Well, happy Monday. Spooky season, eh?
Yeah, we're getting into the Halloween holiday, I guess, or whatever.
It's all sneaking up on me.
I mean, there's not much time left. By next week, it'll be November, so, you know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're just going to eat it up right now. This is our Halloween episode, sort of, I guess.
I guess.
So the entire show should I talk like this?
I mean, no.
No? Okay. I thought I'd try.
I mean, I gave it a thought. I did give it a thought. I was running it through my head.
Because I'd be like, oh, Lesia, tell me the news. Or I could
That's
just
scary, though.
take it another direction and just be like, and be like, hey, Stephen, what do you think about Activision Blizzard?
That's a proper response, regardless. Yeah.
It works.
Whether it's spooky season or not.
But hey, people, siblings, if you didn't already, if you didn't wish Lacey Finley a happy birthday over the weekend, how dare you? What are you doing?
What's wrong with you people? Love me.
I sent out the Twitter call to action.
Yes.
And all I wanted you to
for
do
it.
is just say happy birthday.
Yeah.
Do you feel any different?
I never do. I just, when I look in the mirror, I go, there it is. But like in here, no, not so much. And I feel like that's always the case. It's getting drug along for the ride.
Yeah. I think there was a moment in time, I couldn't tell you when, but it was just like, you know what? It's just, I used to look forward to birthdays, and it's not like I can't enjoy my birthday. It's just the big deal of it all. Yeah. It's just like, I don't care.
Yeah. We didn't do much, and that was fine, and pretty much on par with the rest of my days. So
the way I look at it, if you just leave me alone on my birthday, I'm good. I mean, the birthday wishes and all, yeah, absolutely, I appreciate that, but as long as I can just have a good day, I don't care what I'm doing, as long as it's fun, I'm good. Yep. I'm golden. It doesn't have to be any big shindig or whatever.
And we had so much, like, junk food already from, like, because the hub's birthday is very close to mine. We're only, like, 4 days apart. So when it starts coming in, from especially, like, his family, it just, like, keeps coming in, I feel like, all month long. So we got, like, cookies. And then I made him a cheesecake. And then I had made cookies, like, earlier in the week just because I didn't know that they would just be sending more stuff. So we're, like, getting so fat this week. I just keep eating them.
It's hard.
I just keep eating them.
Yeah, it's really hard. Because
stop sending me junk food.
Like, anytime.
I don't move, people. This is dangerous territory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the biggest problem is not being active, and you got to find a way to be active. But all that, it's so good. You know,
and
like
it's just right there.
I've had to train myself because at work, and I've been doing very, very good, and I think I've got it to where I've broken myself. But at work, they have this container of candy sitting next to me. Now, I'm very specific about my candies. I don't really care for like Tootsie Rolls and Laffy Taffies and
stuff that really sticks to your teeth.
Yeah, or just hard candies even, like the fruity hard candies, Smarties, stuff like that. That's easy enough to avoid. But then right next to that jar is a bigger container full of chocolate, like Reese's peanut butter cups and Snickers and Twix and Baby Ruths, and you're like, God,
It's so easy just to grab one on your way to something.
Yeah, yeah. You're just like, one's not gonna hurt me. One's not gonna hurt me. And I'm doing so well. I can sit there. It used to be, screw it. I'm taking a piece of candy. I don't give a damn. I've earned this today.
Right.
And now I can look at it and I'm not tempted.
Well, that's good.
I don't know where I got into like the right headspace for that, but trust me, it's just, you want it. It's so good.
And the fact that like I probably should throw a vegetable in the mix, maybe for the week. I don't know. Yeah, it's not
gonna
good,
hurt,
but it's delicious, and so I keep eating it.
And sometimes, and that's why I give myself a little bit of a leeway. You know, if I can hold off for like one day, so I'll pick one day, whether Friday or Saturday, just something like that. This will be the day if I wanted to, do something. If the craving is hitting me hard enough, then I'll give myself a little something. Don't overdo it.
Treat. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, look, you did good. You held your own. Here's a nice little something. And if I can find a way to make it healthy, good.
Oh, good. Good for you. I don't look for ways to make it healthy. I'm just like, time to eat, and I take it.
I didn't even tell you that. My daughter, she came over Friday, and yeah, we're getting off topic. Just chill out.
Like we even said we're gonna focus today.
No, she came over Friday night and made homemade General Tso's chicken. Oh, it was so good. So good. And she was even worried. There was like, I don't know what happened in the kitchen. She was just like, it's ruined. It's ruined. It's all ruined. I was like, no, hang on. I said, just wait a second. And I said, let me try it. And I'm trying it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is amazing.
This is delicious.
Yes. I was like, I wanted so much of it. And I was like, no, I gotta watch how I'm doing this.
But
it was
there's
so
like
good.
chicken and some little veggies and stuff in with that. I mean, I know the sauce maybe, but
hey, that was my day. That was the day I was like, no, I knew she was coming over. I knew what she was going to be making. So I just I prepare for it.
Saved it. Yeah.
And that's how I did it.
Gotta think it through. Yep.
And speaking of that, have you watched Halloween Kills?
No.
Okay, so I know that's not. No. Because obviously it's in theaters, but it's also on Peacock, and asking you to pay to watch it on Peacock is $10, $5
I'm sure it'll be
maybe.
on Red soon, right?
Maybe.
Ish.
I mean, I think for the most part you have to pay $5. I think that'll get you the premium tier. And I wasn't paying for it initially, but I thought for this, to avoid going to the theater, I'll go do it. Okay. Now, the movie is getting a lot of flack from critics, yet audience members seem like they're okay with it. And I don't really know what they were upset about, or like.
I feel like I can't relate to a lot of things people are upset about these days.
Yeah,
I just think I accepted that.
Now, granted, I would say that my expectations were a little high, and that's also worrisome when that happens, because sometimes if it doesn't meet some expectation I've set in my head, which I don't know what I was expecting with a Halloween movie, but I don't like getting myself, mentally worked up for a movie like, oh my God, this could be so amazing, because it could not be amazing.
Right. Yeah.
See Batman and Robin and how disappointed I was walking out of that piece of shit.
Oh my gosh. We fell
Anyway, we watched it 2 weeks ago when it came out, and we watched it again Friday night because my daughter was supposed to come over that Friday night, and it didn't happen, so we just saved it again. But I still wanted to watch it, so I watched it once, thought about it the entire week, watched it again. One criticism I remember reading is it said it didn't move the story forward, but I don't know to what degree they were expecting it to be set forward. Like what progression are you looking for? Because to me, they said, okay, we're going to clear the weeds a little bit. Here's what you think and then we're going to do all this and be like, this is what it actually is, to kind of give you perspective. And I felt like they told a great story for what they were trying to do, because where the first is about, I guess, dealing with trauma and PTSD after an event such as what happened.
Right.
This is about the mob mentality. And, we've kind of seen that in recent years.
Yeah.
And what that does to people. So you get it in your head, you get these chants, this mentality going forward, and what that does to a town who's terrified. So you're building this cult. I mean, I don't want to call them a cult. You're building a mob on fear. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was a very telling story.
Maybe it just hit too close to home for people. I don't know.
Maybe. But I don't want to spoil anything about it, but I really enjoyed it. And even how they ended the movie, which I think is the biggest surprise twist that everybody would talk about or don't. That's the one thing you want to avoid if you want to watch this movie. Don't dig into the ending. Mm-hmm. Because to me, I was curious, like, oh man. And I thought about it like for a day, and then getting to the next day, and then it's like a light switch came on, and I was like, that's what they're doing. Like how you're setting up these movies. Like, what is it supposed to be? Well, given the events that transpire in that movie, sets up the next movie as something we haven't seen before. And I got it, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. I see it. I see what they're doing. Like, what was the base premise that they said, what is this going to be about? Like, when you say Halloween 2018, what is that? PTSD. What is Halloween Kills about? Mob mentality. Well, okay, well, what's this one about? I don't want to say it because that might spoil something.
Be a spoiler.
I think I figured it out. So I was excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If it ever comes to rent on just like a regular thing, then sure. I'm not collecting any more services. It is what it is now.
Yeah, it'll come out eventually. Like I said, if you can get Peacock, you can download it. It is free. But
well, I mean, I do, but they put like the other stuff behind a paywall, and I'm like, I see what you're doing, and I get why you're doing it, but none of it's interesting enough for me at the moment to do that when I already have all these other ones.
That's true.
I cut the cord for a reason, and I refuse to build it back up to, well, I say cut the cord. I don't know that I legit ever had cable.
You kind of did away with things, and you're just like, adopting these more traditional. They're not traditional. They're modern. That's
modern, like these kids these days.
Eventually, it will be traditional. You watch and see what would go beyond streaming.
Oh man,
dreaming, dream streaming. Making you watch
goggles.
TV in your head.
We're all done here. It's close.
Excuse me, I've got to get 8 hours of sleep tonight. I got to binge watch The Handmaid's Tale or something.
Just have it put it directly into your psyche now when you're sleeping. Yep. Wow. I mean, it's a time saver.
Hey, why not? You can binge so much TV while you sleep.
Right.
You wake up and going, I'm so fucking tired.
And you were entertained all night long while you were resting. I mean, this actually doesn't sound like a bad idea, personally.
I mean, think about it. Think about how many shows you could binge.
Uh-huh.
A night.
Like, if you're lucky enough to be the person who gets an 8-hour evening. But still, even if you're like 4 or 5.
Yeah. I mean, you got
get a few a little bit out of the way. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Food for thought. Why not?
Humans, we like to make everything easier for ourselves, so we have to put in less effort. So, there you go. I don't even want to be awake to watch my TV.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. We still have to be awake.
Anyway. Hey, what you been playing?
So, what did I play this week? So, for some reason, I decided I wanted to play Do Not Feed the Monkeys again.
Okay.
I saw that there was a bunch of stories that I hadn't got. And so I actually had to just keep restarting it because I'm like, damn it. I think the RNG just keeps those certain stories from like populating as frequently. So like just looking at my achievements list just to get an idea, like how many different stories that I might have missed ish, because there's a couple of scenes you can play out a different way. Yeah, I just have to keep reloading it. But what's sad is like once you get to the last few days, like then the new ones might pop up and you're like, well, I don't have really enough time to finish them because some of them, if you get it right before the 25th day, you're not going to have time to do anything with that scene. So, but I did find a couple of new ones. finally played it out. And I just bribed an old grandma, wanted a cut of her philanthropy business. I just went all evil. I wanted to see if I could collect all of the bad things. I blackmailed everyone I could. I took every gift I could. It was interesting. It was interesting. It is just such an interesting little game. I don't know how I got so addicted to it, but I might be about done with that now again.
Okay.
It doesn't take long to go through it because you can click through if you've seen the ones that you already know how to play or whatever, so you can try to hurry up and get the next scenario. So I was reading one that I'm like, I don't know that I've seen it all, which is interesting as many times as I've restarted it. So I don't know. RNG gods. Looks like I need one more scene to like populate at some point here for me to have seen the whole game. And still working on Asane's story on Scarlet Nexus. I gotta be so close. I have to be. I feel like I'm in the last throes here of the combat for her storyline before I move on to the next one. Nothing new really to say about that.
Yeah.
You guys have heard my complaints, and I haven't had any other new ones since that stupid bridge. Bridge. Get rid of the bridge, and then we're good. Anyway, and that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. How about you?
Well, let's see. I have been continuing, I don't want to say slowly, on Metroid Dread, but...
I thought you were, like, done, actually.
No, I wish I was. Like, I was getting there, and then I continue to run into bosses that frustrate me. Because bosses in this game are the thing that they put a lot of the challenge into, and I know there's a pattern. I've got to follow it. If I could just get it in my head and not get upset. But that's the problem. When I die, and I die again, and I die again, and I die again, I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And as I'm dying, I'm learning the patterns. I'm learning what I need to do. And eventually I will get there. But it's all those game over. That you're just
you have to watch like a long cutscene again?
Luckily, you can skip it.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But it's just so frustrating.
I will never understand why games even decide that that's an okay choice. Just to make you have to rewatch an entire cutscene. Always where it's 2021. Always just respawn us back.
Yeah. Why I mean, the whole thing where they restart you after, like if you die in a boss fight, you're right outside the door. Why not just restart me in the fight?
Yeah.
Just cut all this nonsense out.
Days.
But
I agree. It's nonsense.
Yeah. I'm getting I'm nearing the end. I know I'm like well over 8 hours, and I think that was like the estimated play time for the game. Of course, I'm looking for all the missiles and energy tanks and stuff like that. And the only reason, like, I could give a damn about some missiles, even though I'm sure collecting 100% is tied to a secret ending, as it always is. And I came across one item last night that I can't do it. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it because I guess I'm just not fast enough. You know, my dexterity is just not what it is, because here's what you have to do. You have a speed move, okay? That requires you to have a long stretch of running space to supercharge, and that'll put you into super fast mode. Or you can duck down, and that'll kind of save what they call a shine spark, which allows you to boost in one direction super fast. Okay. And then there'll be these wall blocks that have like a little arrow on them, like a speed arrow. And that's what you got to use that for, to break through. Okay. So to do this, from what I've seen, because I was like, I have no idea what the hell to do here, because this is ridiculous. I have to run out a very small panel to hopefully get a charge by the edge of this platform. Charge it, get my shine spark, run down this platform underneath this wall. Then use that shine spark to go up a diagonal platform to my left. as I use it, I have to press down to recharge immediately to get another shine spark. Go forward, do it again, use my shine spark, press down a third time to get another, go up another diagonal platform, then come down, making sure I still have the shine spark. So one false move, and I'm going to lose that shine spark, and I cannot get forward where this thing is because it's between like a cliff and a wall, and there's no way you can run. So you have to keep that charge as you're moving. I'm not fast enough.
I think you could get it, but it sounds frustrating AF.
Yeah. There's no room to charge this. Like, it's the fact that even the primary panel that they're saying, we'll just run here and charge it. And it's like, yeah, but you're giving me, like, no room.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I hit that the edge of that platform, I've got to hit
be
down.
Precise. Yeah.
And I even forget how to store the damn thing, or I'll use it before I get...
Accidentally hit the button is what I would do. I'd be like, damn it, now it's gone.
Because you just have to hold and press in the direction, and then there you go. I gave up on that one, and I'll get to the end. I'm nearing the end. I've gotten so many of the... there's maybe like one item, like weapon or suit upgrade or whatever you want to call them, that I don't have, that I know I need to get. And I can't think of any others that I would need. Because there's like a super bomb or a cross bomb, I think is what they call them. And I've yet to come across that.
Okay.
So as soon as I get that, even though I've collected some upgrades for it, I've not come across the actual weapon to activate so I can have it. And I would love for it to be helping me to get some of these other things, but clearly not. That's not going to happen. Because I gotta
make you go back after an upgrade if it's like one of those kinds of games or something.
I'm not as spry as I used to be. This is not... I can't do that. But
I feel, yeah.
Despite that, I did also finish up ActRaiser, or I guess finish up enough, because Calliope was playing the Switch. She's been screwing my games up. She'll come out and she'll just pick up the Switch as I'm sitting there playing. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "What? I want to play." And I was like, "I'm playing." And she's like,
literally in the middle right now.
Like I was in the middle of a boss fight, and she just picks it up. And I'm like,
takes it right out of the dock.
Yeah.
Jerk.
So, but the other day she was playing it, and I was like, all right, well, I don't want to interrupt her play. So I went back to ActRaiser, and I was pretty much at the end of that. There was maybe like a few more raids that I had to go through, and then I got the actual credits, and I guess I could continue playing. I don't
plus mode or something.
Well, there's like a handful of trophies if I was committed enough, and I don't really know if I'm that committed, because I like everything happening before my credits. If I can't do it before my credits, then I don't really care to do it.
Yeah.
And all the what do you call them? Your champions that you collect throughout each village, you have to get them up to level 20, and they're all sitting at 12 right about now. Okay. And that requires settlement raids and all this other stuff, and then just doing this constant on and on and on. Yeah. I don't want to do it.
That's fair.
I don't want to do it. And then, of course, there's special mode, which I'm, if I remember that correctly, it's just going through all the action sequences. And it's like, okay, well, you can beat that on easy. I can do that. Beat it on normal. I can do that. Beat it on hard? No. It's like, well, what about master difficulty? Absolutely no.
But I said no to hard.
Yeah.
You see?
So there's those 4 trophies that 2 of them I'd probably get, and the other 2 I'd just stare at and be like, no, I'm just not going to do that. And then 2 million points on, one run through of that. Maybe I could do it, maybe not. I'm sure it's easy enough, but that requires me doing that and playing this mode. So
all over again, right?
I mean, the game was fun. Don't get me wrong, but you're not selling me on this idea.
Yeah,
I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the grind either. Like I just like to get them along the way.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Once I hit the credits, it's a hard sell for me to go right back into it. And it depends on what it is. Like if you can guarantee that I can get that fairly quickly after I've gotten through the credits, sure, I'll step back in for a moment. I think I did that with the last Ratchet and Clank because there was a new gun you had to buy, but you had to go in through like a New Game Plus, and I was just like, well, that's stupid, but I played through.
What I want to do.
Yeah, but you went only so far into the game, and then there's a store, and then as soon as you open it up, there's the gun. So I was like, okay, well, I can tolerate a couple extra minutes. That's fine. And then I did. Boom, done. It was easy. But anyway, yeah, that's all I played. So let's talk about some news. What we got in the news?
Let's try to, but we'll try to keep this a little light up at the top too. I don't know if we actually gave our little tease. Well,
we said it was a Halloween episode, and people were like, well, what? I mean, they can look at the icon and be like, what is this?
That's what I was just going to say. I'm like, but we always give ourselves away with the icon.
But do they know? But do they know?
know?
Yeah. I mean, is the icon that telling? I don't think so. I think it's amazing.
I've saved us not having seen it because I'm always in the dark with everyone else on the icons, and I get the surprise the same day.
I think it's amazing. And so
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But we got a nice, fun, beefy headliner for you. So so let's talk about some news. So I'm gonna try to explain this one. I feel it's the other update that I found with Activision Blizzard. Now I'll be honest. There's a lot of lawyer gobbledygook that I just kind of goes over my head, and I'm gonna try to explain this as best that I can. But it just kind of broke my heart. So this one is kind of tough, siblings. Let's see here. Activision Blizzard actually has put in that they want to pause the lawsuit that's going on right now due to a possible ethics violation that has happened. Activision Blizzard filed a motion to temporarily halt proceedings for the DFEH lawsuit that was filed in July. They want to pause to collect evidence in relation to the allegation that the DFEH could have had an advantage during the proceedings. This allegation isn't about the content of the lawsuit itself, but about the lawyers involved. So not saying they don't have absolutely tons of grounds to move forward on this lawsuit, but it seems like oversight might have been what was the problem here, or should have been had. So earlier, if we remember, in this long timeline, the EEOS had a similar lawsuit, if we remember, going on. So we had these two separate agencies going on that I think was in September. And then Activision Blizzard agreed to that consent decree and settled that federal case with $18 million in a fund for affected employees. Whatever you think about that amount of money, seems kind of, multi-billion-dollar company, like a little slap, but that's just me. But after that happened, the DFEH filed an objection to that settlement, saying it had potential prejudice to impact on the state of California's pending enforcement. So through all of this, basically what it sounded like to me, it's like, our case could probably do way better than that, and you've set a really bad precedent for how little we could settle for, is what I took it to kind of mean. So the EEOC then responded instantly, letting them know that two lawyers that are now on the DFEH played a leadership role within the DFEH, or the ones that played a leadership role were previously on the EEOC, and that helped direct the investigation against Activision Blizzard. And in the state of California, that's considered a conflict of interest because they were already working on a case for a different agency, then went to this other one, and it could have given them an advantage, I guess, is how they were looking at it, because you already had the knowledge from both sides of the suit. So of course I'm gonna blame Kotick on this, because why not? Did that just wake up their ears when they heard that there was a possible conflict of interest, and brings us to now this pause that Activision Blizzard is now asking for, because it seems like they're just going to seize this opportunity where a mistake had been had in, and whether you agree whether it's an ethics violation or not, that's not for debate. I don't know all the laws here as to why this is, but they're not allowed to do both. So in the new filing, the company asked the court to pause the proceedings in case to give them time to perform legal discovery and see if, I quote, disqualification or other remedies exist. So Activision Blizzard argues that the violation of these rules could lead to disqualification of the entire group of DFEH attorneys with whom they've already worked, as outlined in the California Rules of Professional Conduct. My heart is broken that it seems like this case could come down to a technicality, and that it does always seem that way, right? Like whoever's got the better lawyers to find who made a mistake. It never seems to be about the content of a case. It's just always, anyway, I guess they hired these big lawyers to find these things. And the last update I found, though, was on October 21st, where the DFEH finally responded to the pause by saying that Activision's request for a stay or pause or lawyer speak, whatever we're calling this, but it's improper procedural vehicle based on substantive non-issue. Basically, it sounds like they're saying you're just trying to find some BS reason to get out of this, is how I take it to mean. But whether it's legal or not, that's where I feel like it's going to come down to, is because of some oversight like this. So we'll see. But unfortunately, it looks like they've attached themselves to this issue, which is illegal in the state of California and maybe other states too, but at least in particular in this one, for this case with what we're talking about, that it could just get thrown out or anything because of something like that. And it makes me sick that they found it and just seized on it, even though whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. They need accountability. And it's just heartbreaking that it could come down to something like this, that they could lose the case. I don't know. So the two lawyers that were at the center of this whole thing, that they were involved in the complaint, were arguing that they were only minimally involved. So it sounds like they're trying to say, look, we'll back out of this. These two, let the rest of it go forward. And I think we're just going to have to wait and see how that ends up. But
yeah,
I just don't even know what to say. I'm so heartbroken that it's over a technicality of, anyway. But that's the last that I could see. And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see if they're able to move forward. And I know that the EEOC might have been trying to do their job or whatever, but then it also just makes me really pissed off that they were the ones who came forward and said, hey, but two lawyers you've got were on ours that moved over there. I don't know.
It's bullshit.
So I guess we'll just wait and see. My heart's so broken, and I hope that their side finds some other technicality to just move it forward then. Like, they need accountability here. And if they could, if they just get away with all of this, oh my God. And could you imagine being the employees?
Yeah.
Anywho, that's the update that I can find right now. And I guess we'll just keep our eye on that space to see what the legal minds find and what each side is presenting on how this case should move forward. So, that's my update. That's all I could find right now. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But this is good for us, I think, us PC gamers. I found this because, if some of you may know, actually today, October 25th, is Lara Croft's 25th birthday, officially, for her. Yeah. Okay. And I discovered the date because I was reading a fun article about Denuvo getting removed from some Square Enix games, which is exciting for me. I doubt there's anybody out there who doesn't know at this point, but just in case, it is basically, it's a DRM. It's anti-piracy software that gets added to these games that constantly means that your single player experience has to stay connected online at all times. And so it's garbage. I know why they do it, but I still hate it, and I've always hated it since DRM started coming into the PC making scene. I feel like it's never made your games run great. And I just hate the fact that my single player game has to be attached online all the time. I should be able to play it offline. But people actually started noticing this week that certain Square Enix games that had Denuvo, it's getting removed. It's getting patched out of their games. Which we usually can see this happen after the game's already been hacked, where they're like, fine, someone finally figured out how to make it not online, screw it, or maybe a license ran out or something, so why keep putting it on there? But the one that caught our eye off of SteamDB confirming, Denuvo was removed from Near Replicant, and it hadn't actually been cracked yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, did a license run out? Are they actually trying to do a good thing and removing all of this from their games? I don't want to jump on that bandwagon yet, but I'm hopeful. But I don't know. Maybe I'm too cynical with large companies where I'm like, what are you doing? Why? What's happening? Like, it seems too good to be true. Why? You know,
They're not going to tell you. They're just going to be
probably
like,
not. It's probably some new version we haven't heard of yet that's going to get slapped on there. And we're like, what is happening? So we've been seeing this little with Square Enix here. Apparently, even Life is Strange, True Colors, they took it off only after a couple of days. So it seems like something maybe they're trying to move away from. Whatever the reason, some of them I saw that there might be in preparation for an incompatibility issue with the new Intel CPU with Denuvo software was one report I was reading. It's a new Alder Lake CPUs that they're coming out with. That could be a reason why they're trying to take it off, because then their games won't even like work on the new ones if there's a compatibility issue. But whatever the reason, Square Enix, keep doing that. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it. But what I enjoyed was they took it off. A couple days later, we started seeing reports about how much freaking better the games were running.
what?
Frame rates were so much smoother. Now, granted, it wasn't like this large, huge jump, but when you're talking 20, 30 frames, that actually is a huge jump. You know, and I was reading it through here, too, because some people were like, oh, are you sure it wasn't just a graphical upgrade that came with the game, you know, when they were taking it off and they were doing their updates, because it is the 25-year anniversary, special things coming, blah, blah, blah. But no, it didn't look like that they said they didn't do a graphical update. So in a benchmark test that was conducted on, and this is on the latest Tomb Raider installment that they took it off, that they did the test on, both before and after the Denuvo had been removed. They did 1920 by 1080 resolution on an NVIDIA RTX 3080, and the graphics being set to highest, just like God tier, right? But without ray tracing. So it went from where they were doing the minimum frame rate, for 17 frame per second difference between the Denuvo and the non-Denuvo versions of the game. So that's, to me, considerably smoother. And then the average jumps from 163 to 175 frames per second. So a little 8 deviation there, but still, even turning it on lowest settings, like I'm looking at it without the ray tracing, it jumps even a little bit more, because ray tracing would be a little bit more on there. But let's do it. I love that we're seeing the proof that look how much better your game even runs without it. Like, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
Why not?
Other companies keep doing it too. I don't know why you're doing it for real, Square Enix, but let's pretend it's for good reasons, and you keep it up. I'm a fan. Get rid of it. I just wanted to prove that. I'm like, look how much better it runs.
But deep down, there's a sinister reason.
We
don't know.
Find some new DRM. And it's like, I kind of get it. You don't want people stealing your games and everything like that. But man, I feel like ever since it's been introduced, I can even remember like my games just running like complete garbage. And we're talking, it wasn't Denuvo, it was whatever DRM at the time when it came on hard disks. Like they still required that. And I can remember just like garbaging the game. I can remember even my PC running slower because of whatever crap they were installing on it to keep it from getting cracked. And I still had to put in the game key code off the box. Like, I thought that was my proof of purchase back in the day. You know what I mean? But here we are. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anywho, moving on. I didn't do too much news.
Okay.
Again, because I knew we were beefy today. So those are your big news. But I want to do some little quick hits because I think it'll be fun. Oh my God, let's talk about this Uncharted trailer. What? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Let's get this out of the way, man. Let's get this out of the way. I feel like I've read a lot of different stuff, feelings from people this week. And I'm honestly not one way or the other. I feel like it's been pretty split on how people feel looking at it.
Nothing about it made me go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I have no beef with Tom Holland. I think he'll do fine. He's more than capable. He's not exactly the Nathan Drake I would have chosen, but
it's supposed to be younger Drake, right?
Yeah, again, I got it.
I'm a little confused with it. I'll be
Mark Wahlberg, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
He's hit or miss for me. The things
I
was
guess it
seeing
was pre-mustache days.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I saw in the trailer, lifting from the games, I get it. That's what you're going to do, and all that does is make me go, so you're going to show me exactly what I've seen before in a game with a great narrative, and they seemed like they were cherry-picking, too, because there was so much happening in this trailer that I was like, well, that's from this game, and that's from that game, and this is from this game.
And it's a prequel. I thought, so that's where I got, but again, I know it's a fictional universe. They can do whatever they want. But as soon as I saw like the plane scene, I'm like, but that's like, was that 3?
3. Mm-hmm. And then the story about his brother, 4.
Right?
Granted, his brother is not present as of yet, but I'm sure we'll see him.
I'm sure
hint
this is
about him.
This is the first movie to come. I'm sure there will be more.
if it doesn't tank. Look, I don't want it to be bad.
No,
I really don't. I guess my expectations are low because we have so many bad video game based movies that the good ones are few and far between.
Yeah.
I could count them all on one hand.
True. I'll see. I personally didn't feel like I was watching anything that different from any other action movie, which fine, whatever. It's kind of what it's going to be, right? It's the whole game, But I guess just seeing live action Spider Monkey Nathan Drake, like something about it just felt really weird, like with that jump from the plane, back on. It's like we've always made jokes about how like the forearms are like gods because how could he just grip on to everything, And in a game, we're like, cool, it's a game, whatever. We'll see. I'm not knocking it. I didn't see anything that made me more or less excited. I still feel very neutral, I guess, is for me. Like, I wasn't clamoring for this in the first place because I played the games, not knocking that they're doing it, but this didn't push me one way or the other.
To me, this is where I feel like the movie should do something wholly unique. Like, if you're going to do a video game movie based on a property, then why not tell a story different from what we've already seen in the games? Like, unless it's, if you want to go Metroid, because you talk about a game rife with story potential.
Yeah.
Then you can tell the original story because that really hasn't been told. I mean, if you go back to the NES, I mean, even I think they did a remake, Zero Mission, but that was like a Game Boy Advance game or some shit like that. So tell that story, expand on it, explain, take all the lore and find a way to really tell that story proper. But if it had already been told, like with Uncharted, then just tell a random tale of adventure.
If it's a prequel, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't. We don't know what story they really put in since it was really just kind of a bunch of action.
But the fact that they're hitting
humor to make us think it's funny,
But they're hitting beats that we've seen in the game. So why tell those stories? Granted, I know not the casual movie-going public is not going to know shit about Nathan Drake, but why not introduce them to the concept of who he is, then get into the backstory? You're starting with backstory already. And stuff that we already know.
Wait and see.
I know.
But it did feel like I don't know what I was expecting when I heard prequel. I think I was thinking I was not going to have seen any of it.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been wholly new prior to when the games even started, prior to even the first one, was what I was thinking in my head. But maybe that was my fault for assuming.
You assume too much. And what happens then?
What happens? Now I'm an ass.
Donkeys.
All right. Well, siblings, what do you think? Are you excited for Uncharted? I'm curious. Who's excited? Who's neutral? Who didn't care? I don't know. What are your thoughts? And this one should be interesting. Did you watch the GTA trilogy side by side? So I guess it is like a remaster.
Yeah, we were talking about it. I know that they still look blocky, so it's like they just
glossy.
said, yeah, let's put a new coat of paint over this so it'll still be kind of the same animations. We're not improving that. They just look nicer.
Maybe a little. I don't know. Like, I did finally watch like the longer side by side and some other people's stuff, just to like really get the idea of what they looked like before. And then, I don't know. It was weird. Like, sometimes it looked even more like a cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, especially with the newer games, I guess, maybe newer in the trilogy. But they did add new lighting effects, new textures. You could tell they redid the models. Mm-hmm. Shout out. I found a lot of people are super excited. They have fingers now. So congratulations to those of you that can sleep at night. Yeah, no, they're individual fingers. It's great. It's not the block thing. Like,
hey, you, I'm going to point you with my...
Exactly. The whole time. I just saw so many people excited about that, so I felt like I guess I needed to mention it. They have fingers now for those. Now I'm glad you can sleep tonight. But yeah, there's also their eyes and mouths move a little bit more now, of course. 4K HDR apparently on the resolution. The colors definitely were spruced up though.
But
I did enjoy the coloring.
But how does it play?
I don't know that we saw our people who got their hands on it. They supposedly did upgrade it now. And if it was more towards like GTA 5, which is definitely a more refined mechanics and how everything, then yes, I have a feeling it will be.
I mean, look.
But right now it's just like everyone was looking at it and it's weird. Some of it looked great. And then some was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't see myself paying $60 for this. I don't know if that's how much it costs, but I'm just saying full price for three games that are old as sin. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could do that now. If I saw it on sale one day, then I'll consider it.
Do you do PlayStation now?
No. I've thought about it, but...
Well,
I
the
feel like I've got enough.
GTA 3 version will be on PlayStation now December 7th. Mm-hmm. So if you have that and want to wait, just play then. You'll get that version remastered. And then if you do Game Pass, where my Game Pass stands at, you get the San Andreas version on launch.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, so and then I guess the new achievements, of course, were out there. So if you want to spoil it for yourself, you can go check those out. I don't usually look through the achievement list for spoilers, but they did add some, of course. So I'm kind of curious when I saw a couple of them. I'm like, some of the lore, just like stuff that we've created ourselves over the years, should have a nice little shout out there. So, November 11th, PlayStations, the Xboxes, Switches. But if you want a physical copy, you're going to have to wait till December before those will come out.
I mean, look, I think one of the main reasons I would like to play this would be I never finished 3, and I felt like I got pretty deep into Vice City and never beat it because I never had a PlayStation. I was always playing at my brother's house, and I just, it'd be nice to finish what I started.
Sure.
But again, I'm not jumping out to go buy these.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably, of course, check out the San Andreas version since I have Game Pass, and if they're telling me I'll get it that day, why not? Why not, right? But yeah, let's see. God of War coming to PC January 14th. Mm-hmm. So
knew it was going to happen.
If you never had a PlayStation, always want to play, and you're that PC gamer, here you go.
There you go.
I will reserve my hype till I see how the controls port. Because sometimes people do not nail that.
No.
I want proper keyboard and mouse controls. All right? Don't just put it on my PC and make me play a controller. That's all I always ask for. Elden Ring got pushed. I'm sorry, siblings, if you were excited for it. But only like 5 weeks out, though. So now you're looking at February 25th of 2022.
Oh, because we don't have enough.
January.
We don't have enough crap coming out in February.
I know it's gonna all pile on top of each other, it seems. And then if you were waiting for this, Cyberpunk announced that it's legit next gen version of the game, Q1 2022. And then The Witcher 3, Q2 of 2022. So it'll get a proper port apparently now too, or upgrade or whatever.
That game took months out of my life. I'm good. I don't need to play it again.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to play it all over again, I don't know. I'm just hoping it means it actually fixed the PlayStation version of Cyberpunk. Because I'll be honest, siblings, I bought it for $10 for the hubs on the PlayStation because it finally came out for super cheap. And I was like, well, we got the PS5 now. It still crashes. It still crashes. It's just such a disappointment how console got on this altogether. Anywho, Concerned Ape, the developers of Stardew Valley, actually announced their next game. Stardew Valley 2. No, I'm joking. No. It's actually called Haunted Chocolatier. But if I'm being completely honest, I love Stardew Valley. This isn't a knock. But when I watched the trailer for it, it's Stardew Valley. It was like the same movement control, graphics, all of that. But you know what? I don't care, and I'm here for it because I loved the first one, and I'll take more. I mean, I don't care. But I'm warning you guys, it is very much Stardew Valley. But it looks like you're running a haunted mansion, and take my money. Yeah, looks like it's very far off. It's very far off. It is still in development, so we have no idea like when a projected date or anything like that is, so don't expect it anytime soon. But it does seem like there's a little bit more story involved with this one, a little bit more involving with relationship building. So yeah, we'll see. But Haunted Chocolatier, next one from Concerned Ape. I think it looked cute. It's definitely Stardew Valley. And Sony announced their next day to play this Wednesday, October 27th. Tune in. It looks like only a 20-minute long thing they're going to do. Only third-party games. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what we'll hear about it. Maybe just more updates on things we've probably already seen announced. I don't know. But it's 20 minutes, so we'll check it out and go tune in if you want to see what they got to say. I think... Okay, I'll mention this one and then we'll move on. It's a PC-heavy one today. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. This is what you get with me. But Razer launched its own PC components. So we're going to have another person hand in the pie. But hey, let's see, right? They won in the market. They launched the AIO, which is the all-in-one liquid coolers, case fans, the Catan brand powered supplies. Oh my, it's a lot. They got the fancy RGBs if you into that. All the fancy colors. The Razer Handbow had partnered with the Acetec to create the cooler, and of course, designed for maximum thermal performance and to be super soft and quiet. They had lots of fancy words to describe all the parts, so it should really be good, guys. They had fun, long words, fancy. Each one had its own section. I'll check it out, but it seems like it's just the components for the case. So you're going to get a nice, fancy, cooled off, tons of fans, super fun lighting, no price right now. So it means it's going to be expensive because each of these things on their own are about $40-$50 just on their own. And then it goes up from there. So I'd expect like a $500, if not more, case fan. But it'll be cool. It'll be cool in there.
Okay.
It will not be hot. Forgot about this. I'm a liar. I'm gonna mention this too. We'll call this like weird news or interesting something, and then we've got to move on. I see the time.
Okay.
But you know how everyone always wants to just play Doom on absolutely everything. If it's got a screen, we're gonna try to play Doom on it. Well, now you can play it on Twitter. This guy created Doom or Tweet to Doom bot. And users can attempt to complete a game by commands. So the initial tweet gives you what commands that you can do, and you have to reply to the tweet with the commands, and then it'll spit out a GIF or whatever of those moves that you made, and you can sit there and legit play through Doom with just, now it's going to be like old school. You got to look through the commands. They're kind of convoluted, of course. There's a lot. You type it out in the reply. It'll spit out your play until you beat the game. And I thought it was actually kind of neat.
Okay.
I don't know that I could play it for very long because it would take a lot of brain power for me to think of like all the different stuff to have to type in to tell the bot what to do. But yeah, I think it's fun. If you want to go check it out, it's going to be like your old school. You're just going to have to type it, then you read it and you watch it. Mm-hmm. But it does make a branching node of your play game through. You got to keep replying to the same tweet in your own thread and keep playing it. But yeah, out of this, one player managed already an 11-second run. So already got a speed run record on Twitter to Doom. And I don't know, it's neat and it's convoluted. And if you want to check it out, you should tweet to Doom bot. And you can just play your own game of Doom. And apparently if you win it and everything, they'll put the whole thing together and render it like your videos and stuff, and you can have it. So you can actually watch your full run through. I thought it was neat. I don't know. Anywho, that's what I got. I tried to keep it shorter.
Okay, well I got one I just want to add in real quick because it doesn't affect me, but maybe it will at some point. I don't know. No. Where NetEase acquired Grasshopper Manufacture, which is, the developer of one of my favorite series of all time, No More Heroes.
Oh, no. Well, at least he's done, right? So the games are done. They're out. They won't mess one up.
But that's still his company, or at least it was. And you know what? It's his business. If that's what he wants to do, or he's okay with it, fine. But NetEase what have they done? I
know the name.
In the past, I think they obtained a stake in Quantic Dream at one time. There was something, I know that they partnered with Blizzard at one point to bring their games to China.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. Like their partnership to...
There was a lot about them.
I feel like even with Blizzard or something, too.
Mm.
I don't
there
know.
was a lot about them that kind of makes you reflect like a Tencent, where you're just like, what are you up to? What are you doing?
What are you doing over there? Yeah.
So again, I don't want to judge. I don't know, but I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, that's always sad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it wasn't for Microsoft. Because Phil Spencer did say this week, we're still buying. If you look like somebody that could work well with us, we'll still take it. We'll still do it. So.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyhow, yeah.
Let's move on to our big thing that we're talking about today. What makes our horror episode or Halloween?
So
it's not a horror episode.
I don't know.
It's our Halloween
I don't
episode.
know what we're doing.
Anyway. Today we are chatting with the duo known as the indie game developer October Games, who we mentioned on the show a few weeks back when I stumbled upon their game Horror Legends. This asymmetrical PvP survival horror experience caught my eye upon seeing the trailer promoting the release of a new killer, Radu Vladislav, from the Full Moon series Subspecies. Following that, I saw the trailer for the next big release, Puppet Master the Game, and that's when I knew I had to talk to these guys. Please welcome Drake Kazmierczak and Nicholas Haye.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Now, like I said, I'm really excited to talk to you guys because I've been a Full Moon fan for many, many years, way back when. Lace, on the other hand, she's a little unfamiliar with it, but hey, maybe we can get her sucked into it.
I'll get educated here on all the horror icons.
To kick things off, I guess we want to just start with the basics. Let's start from the beginning and talk about how you guys met and got this off the ground.
That's a great question. Do you want to start, Drake, or do you want?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's the history goes back, I think, a little bit before that. So I've been working on, I've been championing this project for better part of a decade trying to get it off the ground with Kickstarters and Indiegogos, and I finally was able to get it in early access, and I met Nick through that. He reached out to me with some awesome music, and we started collaborating, and really that's when the project really started kicking off.
Yeah, basically how we met was I reached out to him. I was like, hey, do you need music for your game? Because I was mainly focused on music composition at the time, and I told him I would write him a song for free, and then our partnership sort of like sort of grew over the next year as we built our relationship and became closer as partners, and then I think like for me the turning point was when we went to Flashback Weekend. It was just a really fun time, and
we were building horror legends in my spare time, pretty much up until that point, or actually until recently. But when we went to the convention, getting to meet a lot of people that play our game, and introducing the game to a bunch of new people, and then actually getting to reach out to Full Moon in person was all really exciting and fun. I think it just got us more excited to do more and go further with the game. And a few years later, we left early access just recently. Our talks with Full Moon has come to its fruition with the release of Radu in our video game, and our upcoming release Puppet Master the game. We're all really excited about. I mean, Puppet Master the game has been like a pet project of mine for just as long as Horror Legends. It's just something I was messing around with, and I would talk to Full Moon about it every once in a while, and just kind of like play with the idea. But eventually, I was able to pull a more finished, polished presentation for them, and it really got them excited to jump on board and actually make it official. So that's Flashback Weekend was a big weekend for us as an indie studio.
Okay. So you've been solo deving it your whole self up until this point, pretty much?
Well, people would come and go as when I would start the project. When I started the project, it was like a team of 3 people, but really I was the only one doing anything. And then they would talk. There was a lot of talk, but not a lot of doing. So, and I was just like, no, this is awesome.
Sure.
We got to keep going. And like out of all the people that I've worked with, Nick is the only one who was like, yeah, that's good. He ran just as fast as me. So that's really helped keep this project going. So yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that really you're like really working hard to like make something happen, and you're not sure if it's going to happen, but you like really stick through with it. We before the whole before I was on board, Drake had reached out to Full Moon before that, but was kind of that hit like a dead end. But then when we met them at Flashback Weekend, we sort of like devised this strategy to like reignite that, and it actually took us, I think it was like the better part of like 2 years to get them to, agree to like the deal. And it was like, we were just like holding our breath the entire time, like trying to be very persistent with them and, never give up, because they were always interested every time we would.
Oh yeah. Like every time we talked to Charlie, he was super excited about it. It's just that, we had to like prove they're like, here, look, I can totally do this. Just look at this video. I like would make this.
We're gonna stick with it.
Yeah, yeah. They're making movies. They're super busy, and
right.
just like getting them, pull them away from that and go look at video games for a second was a little challenging. But they've been so like supportive and like on board with the whole thing. So we're just really happy we get to make this like dream project of ours, because for me personally, I mean, I've been Puppet Master fan since I was like 10.
Yes.
So and I would renting the VHS tapes at the local video store, and just like, watching those video zones at the end really ignited my creativity. So it's really cool. It kind of comes full circle with these games, and able to like show my love for these things, and through that, which is super exciting. I cannot wait to show everyone more Puppet Master, and so glad we got to work with the Ted Nicolau and Anis Hove on the Subspecies DLC. That was a dream come true as well. So
I bet.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the games themselves. I mean, Puppet Master, like you said, it's long time fan. So seeing how well crafted the game looks, how perfect the character designs. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm spellbound. So I can tell it's passion.
Oh yeah.
That drew.
Well, just listening to him right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah.
Plus,
we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Drake knocked it out of the park with the Puppet Master design.
Absolutely.
He really knocked it out of the park there.
Been drawing those characters in my sketchbook since I was 10, so I had a lot of practice getting their designs just right, and analyzing like the screenshots in the movie to try to get all the little details into their designs that I appreciate and that I would look for if someone else made a game. So
I'm sure the fans would too. Like they get to, I know that character.
I almost know the characters too well now, because if you show me a close-up of Blade's face, I can tell you what movie that's from. I go, oh, that's the sculpt from part 3, or like that's the sculpt from part 5, or it's just like there's the little details show up so well now to me.
So I gotta ask. I mean, since you worked on these designs very specifically, to me they look a lot like the original designs from like the first 8 movies, I guess, give or take, and then kind of in the later ones where it's like the Axis of Evil, Axis Termination, stuff like that. The designs were changed a little bit. Were you adamant about sticking with original designs, or did they try to push you to the newer ones?
They've given us a lot of like freedom to, I think that from like we proved to Charlie that we could be trusted with these characters by the presentation we gave with the video. So and of course we have to get everything approved through Full Moon before we release any designs, and but I got no real they seem to be happy with what we made. Sure. And I'm personally sticking with or starting with the original David Allen sculpts and designs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get as close to those originals as possible. Who knows what maybe down the line you get like an Axis Termination Blade sculpt, or I'll try to go that route at some point with like a character cosmetic or something. But at this point, just trying to get as close to those David Allen original designs. Just definitely want to honor that guy's work as much as possible.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And for my money, his designs were probably the best. Not to really knock a lot of these, the newer designs, whoever's doing them in the newer movies, but there was just something, maybe it's just because of the originals, but they just have a higher quality to them. You know what I mean? There's just something about them. They're more pristine. The others, they feel a little bit rushed or knockoff, and that's not to slight whoever did them, but that's just my opinion. I guess I favor the original designs, David Allen's.
I was going to say, maybe your nostalgia might be playing
Yeah.
a huge factor too.
Oh, there's always the nostalgia factor. Like the first experience of the character is always going to be the most powerful. Sure. And I appreciate Tom Devlin is the artist that does the new ones, and I appreciate his look and designs very much as well. But for me, it's the ones that I grew up with. I grew up with watching Puppet Master 1 through 5 and Curse over and over again. Through the renting them, and so I wanted to bring those those versions back. David Allen was a huge inspiration for me as an artist. Just to, watching those videos and watching him work and learning. I've done the stop motion animation probably because of him.
Nice.
But stop motion is just not really an easy thing to do when you live in a one-bedroom apartment.
Well, I can't imagine it's really all that easy anyway. You gotta keep stopping.
Oh yeah, it's so.
So that's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's so much fun, but also it's so time-consuming and it's tricky. So
Well, I'm going to bounce around a little bit, and I'm going to talk about Horror Legends for a second, because that also, you mentioned, was a game you've been working on for some time. What was your inspiration and driving force for that game?
Horror Legends is essentially my love letter to the horror genre, and I think Nick would probably agree that it is his as well, since he was so drawn to the game when it first launched in early access. But it's the original idea. It's another thing I came up with when I was a young teenager. Just like, oh, it'd be cool. Like, I think it's like you watch like movies like, well, not to get too far back, but like, I think the first time I actually thought about the idea of Horror Legends was when I was watching like Freddy vs. Jason, and just like, oh, these characters can exist in the same universe. And then watching, Jason Goes to Hell, it's like, oh, there's a Necronomicon, Freddy's in there as well, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, these characters can exist. So like, in my head, I started like fanboying, like connecting, like, what if Chucky was in here? What if this character was in there? And then of course, as you grow older, like, oh, that can probably never happen, but it has in a way through other games. But I was like, well, I'll just make my own characters that are sort of reminiscent of that feeling that you got watching those movies, and make a universe around them, and that's and then you can kind of play with that lore, and of course the game's not really the game is its primary focus is multiplayer horror, but like I couldn't help if you design a character like Punky or Big Bad on the cover. It's like this pumpkin monster. Like, I gotta come up with a story for him, and it's like I gotta make it work with all the other characters. So it's like in my head, I'm just kind of like trying to connect the dots and making sure there's no like continuity errors and stuff, and trying to make everything work together is just really fun for me. But I think like that was probably the first idea. Is like, what if all these horror characters exist in the same universe, and what if like we can play as them in a multiplayer setting, and like you don't know which one was going to chase you around and hunt you down, and each one had like a unique kill mechanic where they can like characters in a horror movie would they all had to like figure out like, how do we stop this monster, how do we escape this monster, and I wanted players to go through the same experience, like okay, we can't just like we have to like slow down and think about like, okay, what's this thing's weakness, like be observant and try to escape as if you were in a horror movie. That's kind of the kernel of the idea. It's like just emulating what would happen in a horror film, and how would you react if you were in that situation.
Yeah.
I think something else that's really cool too is that Drake's written a comic about the first Big Bad Punky, and it's in the game you can unlock the comic through our in-game currency called Fate Points. And you can also unlock other things like skins for your characters, but it's really neat to be able to like attach a story to the characters in the game. And a lot of our community in our Discord has been really vocal about how cool they think that is. And to touch on what Drake was saying, when we come up with like the designs in game for characters, it's like, we really want players to kind of feel like they're like experiencing this horror-esque movie experience, and how we can build the tension as best as possible through the visuals and the sound effects and the music and the lighting and the gameplay and the map design, and it's been a lot of design talk, but also extremely fun and a great time.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and the fact that you built lore for these characters, that's amazing. I mean, because that does help players get a connection, like they want to know more about these characters, so reading the comic or something like that, it gives you embraces that character more. And in fact, to your point, Drake, what you were mentioning about having these ideas of characters, your own characters kind of crossing over, we actually talked about that not that long ago, where I was kind of reminiscing about having that same idea when I was 10. I had like this one little character I created, and I had another little character I created, and then there was this one day I was like, oh my God, they could meet. And it just blew my mind. And I was like, oh, yeah. I got to do this. So, yeah, I get that for sure. It's just, it's such a simple idea, but for whatever reason, it gets you so excited. It's like, I can't believe these characters are going to be in the same universe together. It's just insane.
Right?
But I saw that you had another game that you had set aside for this, Masters of the Dead.
Oh, yes.
Care to talk about that? Because it seemed like it was pretty interesting
yes.
too. But you said, if I read correctly, you said that you wanted to work on Horror Legends more, so you just kind of put that on the back burner.
Well, okay, so like when I first started working on Horror Legends, it was, like I said, like people would come and go, and like I'm a 3D artist, writer, creator type. I'm not a programmer, so I can't program these games on my own. I need a team, and we had a programmer. Once our Kickstarter didn't really pan out, he jumped off, and I was like, well, how do I got attached to the characters already, because I've already started writing comic books, and like I just grab something, I just run with it, and by the time the the Kickstarter was over, I had written the comic book as a backer reward. So I was like, well, I got this character, this lore established. I want to do something with it. So I was like, okay, well, let me just like see what I can do. Like, and I went on the Unity Asset Store, and I found this thing called the Unity fighting game engine, and I just like, well, let me see if I can like do something with this. Like, I'll just make them fighting game characters, and I tried my hand at that. And it was also kind of like a thesis on fighting games for me, like just to kind of like get the experience of making one and learning how to do it. And the super challenging genre, because there's just so many animations that are required to do it, but like my heart wasn't in it as much as I really wanted to make Horror Legends. That's what I enjoy multiplayer horror way more. That's my favorite genre, and it's just like, well, once the opportunity arise to make Horror Legends, like, well, I want to work on that. Like, I know, like, I might just start phoning in if I keep going with Masters of the Dead. It's it's not like original code or anything like that, so it's just kind of, it was more of an exercise to funnel my creativity somewhere while I was looking for more people to get Horror Legends back up and running. And
okay,
so
scratch that creating itch.
Yeah, and I got to play around with two of our legends in a fighting game environment and see what, have them duke it out, like Freddy vs. Jason style. So that was kind of fun. We could go back to it at some point in the future, but we have so much on our plate right now, and there's you never know what's going to happen after Puppet Master, and that's just like, it feels like a long time from now. So I don't really know what's going to happen with Masters that could come back, could not. It's an idea. It's there. If we need it, essentially.
Fair enough. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it may come back around, and I would say hopefully, because I'd like to see how you incorporate these other characters you've been kind of working on into this other genre, and see how that would play out. I think that would be kind of fun.
If I could clone myself, I could have one person working on that game, and then I could work on all the games at once. But
just make the clone be the programmer.
Right? Yeah. Just
how you do this.
Yeah. There's only so much time, so we have to really focus on what we need to do at this current moment. Like, are we really focusing on Horror Legends, polishing it, fixing little things, adding more cool details, more mechanics, and we get a lot of feedback from our community, and I'm always listening. We're always listening to what they have to say, and we take it to heart, and we do our best with the budget we have to implement the ideas that we feel that fit into the game. So that's our focus right now, just making sure Horror Legends is as best as it can be, while also starting pre-production on Puppet Master and getting that ready for next year.
Busy.
I'm excited.
Yeah, busy. We've sort of spent the better part of this year like sort of working nonstop, especially towards the release. Me and Drake were awake until 6 a.m. trying to get stuff working for 2 weeks prior to the launch, maybe even more than that. And like Drake was saying, our community gives us really great feedback, and we really try to like listen to all of their concerns and really make the game not just based on like how we see it, but also how the culmination of all of our player base sees it too. And I think for the most part, our player base is fairly happy with what we're doing. But like we're a small team, and we can't give them everything that they want, and so we've been kind of wrestling with having to like pull back in some areas because we just we want to make a solid, polished game, and maybe that would be something that we would do or tackle for like Horror Legends 2 or something like that.
So I mean, as far as your player base goes, I mean, it sounds like they're fairly positive.
We have a really nice community. Like our community is super positive. They're always
Good.
starting matches and hanging out, and we're talking about horror movies all the time on Discord and having a good time. I feel really fortunate that we got such a cool community built around the game.
Yeah.
Because I think the people that really stick around, like, they get it. They get what we're going for. They see the references. They see the care that we put into it. Even despite maybe our the fact that we don't have much of a budget, that we're actually pulling off a lot of crazy mechanics with the game. One of the biggest things we added recently was these epic finisher animations that nearly killed me to animate them all. And it was like weeks straight of just me animating murder, and it was really weird on my psyche.
What that does to your mental health.
Right. Well, my wife would walk by and like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, like, that person's getting their throat slit. That's really nice. Okay, watch a kids movie.
Realistic to you, honey? Do you want to watch this a few times?
Yeah.
How it would work.
I'm like, hey, look at this! I made this thing, and like, come check out this animation. It's just like Human Punk or one of our characters like slitting someone's throat, and it's like, oh, you should watch a kids film after this. It's kind of like,
Right.
reconnect with
crazy
reality.
Dreams tonight.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But
Cleanse the brain.
Well, horror, I honestly feel like horror communities are fairly positive. I don't think I've ever been in one, and not to say they don't exist, but there seems to always be this camaraderie in horror. And one group that I kind of deal with, you guys being horror fans, I would imagine. Do you ever watch The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs?
every time he airs live,
Yes.
I'll watch it. I'm there.
You watch the
I'm a
hoedown,
mutant.
I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I'm a mutant.
Yeah. Yep. Wonderful. See, we're all in this. So yeah, I mean,
Together?
that group right there, talking to them, I mean, that's a community I feel very close with. I've never really been big on social media chat and things like that, but when it comes to the hoedown or the Last Drive-In, anything that they're doing on those Friday nights, I'm excited. I get excited talking to everybody out there. So I think it's just horror in general. Whatever it is about those communities, they get it. And it's great that it hasn't seeped in, like the video game, the negativity of that, because sometimes that can.
Oh
yeah, it bleeds
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of that certainly going around in the video game verse. It's a tricky thing, but it's been one of our biggest goals to not have that sort of happen. And I think we're doing a pretty good job at it so far.
Well, it's probably like a fine line of giving people what they want and also not compromising your own vision that you've been clearly excited for since you were 10.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would imagine, that's got to be a tough balance too.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is like, a lot of people might have great ideas for, the game, but they don't understand like the architecture of how the game works, and so it's not functionally feasible or possible to do what they're asking for, or there's a lot of complexity into designing the game's features and gameplay. So it's much more than just like a 5-minute talk. Like,
oh god, no.
I know me and Drake have spent literally, I remember probably it was like 3 hours for like 3 days each, having design meetings just about like jumping in the game.
Yep.
Like how are our characters gonna jump, and like what complications does that provide? Like, are characters gonna get stuck in certain areas because of this? And how is it gonna affect like melee combat? And there was like a whole, like, can you sprint or can you jump while you're sprinting? Can you jump when you're not sprinting? Does it use stamina? Can you jump when you're out of stamina? Like, so there's like a million complexities that you can go through, and quite frankly, we always fall back to what is going to be least restrictive to the player. So like we've learned that we want to not restrict players as much as possible. So like we had a mechanic before that wouldn't let you jump if you were out of stamina. And then we tried that, and it was like an interesting way to balance the game because, like you can't jump in the other side, so you can't, climb up certain boxes or jump through windows, but it also didn't feel that great because players couldn't, they were restricted. And so we kind of pulled back. So what we did as a middle ground was we allowed players to jump if they were in just like the walking state, but they couldn't jump if they were sprinting and out of stamina. So like if you're out of stamina, you could just like walk and jump normally, but you couldn't do that if you were sprinting. And so, there's just a lot of complications. Just with just this little.
You wouldn't even think.
Yeah.
No, that thought process for 3 hours.
Wow.
It's just like every time you
Multiple
add
days.
like a little nugget of a feature, you're like, okay, now we're gonna ask a million questions to ourselves on how this affects every aspect of the game.
I was just gonna say, is it gonna break something else?
Yeah, we used to have a cool feature that allowed you to lean, but we discovered that you could lean into a door and unlock the door from the opposite side, like you were like a phantom. You just like look, you can look into the like. Well, we gotta cut this now. There's like. Either that or we spend tons of time and money trying to get it to work, and then it's just really not that worth it. So it's like, little things, like all sorts of things can happen. The more complex your game gets, the more questions you have to ask yourself when you add something. And
I think with everything that we've added in the game, there's always been something that we forgot. Like even though we've spent hours and hours trying to discover every little thing that could go wrong, there's always, maybe like one little thing that we, might miss, and we have to figure that out on after it's already implemented. And I think that's just a normal thing because,
Probably.
it's so complicated, and you just have to do your best to try to pre-design it in such a way, but there's obviously just going to be things that you're going to miss, and you got to see how it works in the game so you can see it in its full fruition to see those things that are going to, that you might miss. So it's complicated.
It sounds like it.
yeah,
Just let me play them all. I've had developers tell me, "Oh wow, I've never seen bugs like that. Cool." And I'm like, "Oh, glad to help, I guess." Wait it out.
Yeah,
But I'm the only one reporting in. I mean, I don't know what you do about that.
there's what you have on paper, and then you give it to a player, and they just don't follow the script you wrote for them. They're like, well, we have to. All right, we're gonna
Why
have to.
are you playing it different?
Play it this way. Yeah.
Like I don't know what I did.
Right.
So I've got a pretty loaded question here, and I'm trying to figure out which way to kind of go about it, because I want to ask about how you got Radu into the game, but I also feel like that kind of connects to your partnership with Full Moon and how all that got started. So I guess let's look at that first. What is it about, or how did you get connected with Full Moon to actually make a lot of this happen? Because obviously you were working on the game, you kind of went to them, but how did you make all this kind of come to fruition to where it is now?
Well, without, we had, I had built a prototype for Puppet Master like in 2014. I did the interactive trailer, and then I did a multiplayer prototype, which is kind of like a general idea of what I wanted to build. And I think just like having like that out there and like showing that this could work, and also that like I could make these characters in a way that is true to the movies, and just our enthusiasm as a team and the quality of the work we're doing with Horror Legends, and and then actually getting to know Full Moon, and it was a long process, just talking to them, warming up to them at conventions, and just showing them our work and getting them excited and showing our excitement for it, and it just eventually being persistent.
Persistence,
they're very
okay.
they're very busy.
persistent.
They're busy, very busy making like what 10 movies a year, or I don't know their exact output, but they make a lot of movies a year. So like just getting a moment to like, hey, guys, we want to make you this really cool thing. You have a moment, and they're like, yeah, sure, and then they get they get caught up making another movie, and it's like, oh, okay, so you just gotta be persistent, and once we got their attention with, I think the final presentation or not the final presentation, but like the last presentation we gave them at Flashback Weekend, I think it became a lot easier to go pitch new ideas to them and go like, well, it'd be really cool, I love subspecies, I in my head it's always been kind of back there, and I'm like, well, what if, Radu would fit really well into Horror Legends, like, what do you think? And, I actually had made the model before I even approached them, so I put a lot of time into that character model just to go like, here, look at, like, I could, make this for you guys, you want to do that? Let them talk about it, and they got back to us, and it happened, so, yeah, I mean, it just, like, it's kind of up to them, but, like, I think it's our passion for their characters, and they can see it, and that's kind of how it happened.
Sounds like as soon as you got face-to-face with them, they're like, oh, man, yeah, this is it. You just needed your charms face-to-face. Like, look what I'm doing.
It's pretty much been you pushing to make this happen and hoping that they're going to just say, yeah, cool, we're all right with that.
Yeah, just
probably what they can and can't say.
Yeah.
Okay.
we definitely were persistent in reaching out to them, and being really excited about the prospect of making these two two properties come to life in game form, and I think they appreciated that. And that gave us the opportunity. They gave us the opportunity to do so. So very thankful for that. And from what I could tell, they're very happy with how everything is going so far.
Good.
So, in regards to getting Radu into Horror Legends, how did you secure Anders Hove for the voice? Because that was even equally impressive to me. Was that their idea, or did you ask? Or
I persisted on that as well. I was like, we gotta have Anders Honest be the voice. That's got to be him. Like he's Radu. No one else has ever played the character. And I'm so glad we took that chance and reached out.
Yeah.
What really helped, I think, is Charlie is I think close friends with Ted Nicolau, and Ted Nicolau is close friends with Honest, so I was able to reach out through them, and what was really cool about the recording experience with Honest was that Ted Nicolau was there directing Honest like he was in a Subspecies movie, and it was it was really, really cool. Like, it's about as authentic as you can get with Radu. Is like, not only was it the actor, but the director was going like, you should try saying it like this next time. On this take, try saying it like this again. Or it was like, whoa, there's little details I probably wouldn't have known to, get Honest to do. So, super thankful for Ted Nicolau just to like be there and like direct. And they were like getting excited about Subspecies 5 during the recording. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So.
Get to sit in on that.
Yeah.
Honest,
it was really fun.
It
was so fun. And like, Honest is such a calm, he was such a nice, soft-spoken person, and then he just turned on to Radu. And it was like, oh, whoa, I'm on the phone with a vampire. This is crazy. He
knocked it out of the park with his voice lines. Like, super impressed with his work. I respect his voice acting and his acting. Like, it was just absolutely like over the moon about it.
I'm so excited. I just want to try this out.
I could see it in your eyes. You're like, I want to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah.
I think what's really great too is like the way the voice lines are in our game. Like, you basically, when you're playing as the legend, you press the middle mouse button and you can taunt and say a voice line while you're chasing someone. And so it really, like, especially when you're playing Radu, you can just like really live your best vampire fantasy, and the voice lines just make it, so much sweeter.
our game has a lot of voice work in it. All our cast members are fully voiced with a voice wheel, have personality. Our legends, a lot of our legends have voice lines as well, and they talk. They say mean things to you while you run away from them. It's awesome. So I think that makes us I think that's just like a really cool feature that I just love about our game.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Players love to taunt each other.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I do it at stop.
And the survivors in our game are called cast, and they also have their own unique voice lines. They have a little bit more options for using their voice lines, so you can tell people to follow you, or you can
interact with NPCs.
You can give positive voice lines, you can give negative voice lines, and all the casts have these sort of like unique characters that are sort of like built around the lore that kind of Drake has envisioned for the game, and a lot of our community has really fallen in love with a lot of the just like the difference in characters between the casts and their voice lines, and so that's been really neat to see. And yeah,
little nuggets of lore, future comic books are sprinkled into the voice lines. I know where the story's going, so I can introduce little elements here and there in the map design and in the character design, and then their voice lines and unlockable skins could all be little hints to what could happen to the character in the comic. Whenever I get around to finishing it, making a video game takes up all my time. So,
right.
Yeah.
Is that something you've ever thought about getting published in paperback?
I actually have. The Horror Legends comic book. I've published it on a Comixology. You can look at Horror Legends comic. It's on there. It's a digital thing you can buy, and I also printed it, and I sell them at conventions as a little like a collectible item.
Cool.
It has an art book in the back. It's got a little article about the game and an extra comic book I illustrated that's not related to Horror Legends, but it's just in there because where else could it go? So it's just like this little neat collectible thing that I print, and when I go to conventions, I have it there, and I would love to make more of them, yeah, and hopefully maybe publish them at some point, on a larger scale. But it's only time will tell if I can ever.
Well, when you get that clone ready,
Yeah, right.
you're busting them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to circle back around to Puppet Master for a moment, since we were talking about that earlier, and you'd mentioned that it had been in production for some time. Is this also a PvP multiplayer game, kind of like Horror Legends, or is it different in some aspects?
Without getting into the nitty gritty of the game mechanics just yet,
Okay.
They're kind of sister projects. Horror Legends was definitely was in my head first, and then the idea for Puppet Master came around. I think when we first started, we first talked to Full Moon, and I think a friend of mine was like, "What would you guys be interested in a game or something like that?" And I think they seemed receptive to that, and my brain exploded, and I was like, "Whoa, let's see here." And I just started making Horror Legends but Puppet Master, and it's like an inverse of Horror Legends. It is multiplayer, but we're very open to idea of co-op as well, and single, like a solo experience. But but the core idea, the original idea, was 3 puppets versus a Nazi in a hotel. You're running around as that guy in the black trench coat from Puppet Master 1 that broke into Andrew Toulon's room at the very beginning. He's very deep cut character, but it just kind of fit perfectly, because that's exactly how the movie starts. Is these the Nazi is trying to find Andrew Toulon, and the puppets have to protect him and keep keep his formula and his secret safe from the Nazis. That's a big part of the story of Puppet Master. So it's it's got to be like that, so you have this one player gets to play as this secret agent from Nazi secret agent, and he's roaming the hotel looking for Andrew Toulon's artifacts. And then puppet players, they get to be a handful of puppet players, and they get to pick from the roster of all the characters from Puppet Master and jump in and try to stop this Nazi from discovering Andrew Toulon's secret of reanimation. once
that
the
idea.
it's
I love that.
and we want to introduce more characters from the series other than just that character, that one guy. But I feel like a good place to start.
Yeah.
Definitely want to bring in more characters from the movies and more of the human characters. That is, definitely want to do make every puppet I can.
Yeah.
Yes, the general gist, and of course we have planned mode involving the totems from Puppet Master 4 and 5.
Nice.
That might be another deep cut for some fans, but I think they're in 2 of the sequels, so they kind of deserve their own game mode, and it'd be like a team of evil little demons versus a team of evil puppets fighting each other over this secret of reanimation as well, which is very much the plot of 4 and 5. So if we want to expand to other game modes other than just the asymmetrical mode, it's definitely going to be more like free flowing as far as the different game modes. We're not going to be locked into one thing, because Puppet Master is kind of a versatile franchise where it's not just that one type of. I think one game mode wouldn't do the series justice.
Right.
So
That sounds on brand to me.
yeah,
Go the episodic route.
yeah.
So, since you're looking to hopefully expand characters, puppets, I have to ask, are you going to be able to use, or are you using, the famous score that the movies are known for?
We used the theme in the trailer. Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think without getting into too much details, we have maybe Drake, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the rights to the music, correct?
We can use the music, yes.
We can use the music. So we want to portray the series as, I think as accurately and how it will best make the fans feel. And so I think the chances that we do use it are pretty high.
Nick is a really good composer, and it would be a really big missed opportunity if we didn't have some original Puppet Master music from Nick in the game.
For sure, yeah.
So yeah, there's probably a chance that I might write some new music for the game as well that would be, themed around Puppet Master as like a reorchestration, a recomposition. But we certainly would also... That's still something that we're sort of navigating. We haven't really gotten to that level of as far as like what we're going to do specifically with the music. But the Puppet Master theme is bound to be in the game for sure. And there'll probably be some, original themes from me as well. And I'll do my best to make the Puppet Master fans proud.
I have no doubt you'll do fine. I know that score, or at least the main theme that Richard Band composed, was so iconic that not to have it in there would be almost... It would feel like it's missing just that small little piece, but having an original score, I think, would also kind of elevate it as well. So I think that would be a very smart move on your part to do it that way.
We'll be tasteful on implementing original and new music. We want to be. Obviously, we're probably going to be using the theme song of Puppet Master in the game at some point. It's all really hard for us to say for sure at this point because we're still talking about that stuff.
Things, yeah.
But we I love the score.
Yeah.
And the fan just hearing the score kick in during the trailer to our character models and our environments is just it's like real. It feels like it's really happening. So we won't let you guys down.
I think something that you touched on earlier too, when you were saying how you felt that the Puppet Master theme was just so iconic to the films and how it just makes you feel like, from a musical standpoint, like that score is so good to me. Like, it really captures the thematic elements of the puppets And something that I think a really good theme does is that like you can hear the theme, but the characters might not even be on the screen, but it makes you think about them anyways, because the theme is portraying the characters so well, and just the whole picture of what the Puppet Master series is about. So there is nothing but good things I could say about that theme. It just is an amazing piece of music.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you just threw it in on the title screen, I'd be good. Everything else can be original. I could care. Just give it to me on the title to get me started, and I'm golden.
Well, we have a lot of game mechanics tied to music in Horror Legends, so it's like, we might need to like make something custom just for like a mechanic or something like that. So there's stuff like that that we aren't really sure about yet, but we'll definitely make sure it's authentic to the movies. It feels like the movies. It feels like you're in the movie. Like, big part of Horror Legends is you want you to feel like you're in a horror movie, and with Puppet Master, we want you to feel like you're in a Puppet Master movie. We want you to feel like you're almost making your own. So while you play the game.
Well, to kind of hop back just a little bit to Horror Legends about the music, because we really didn't touch on that. Nicholas, were there any kind of inspirations you had for the score for that game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, really getting to know the lore of each character. The main theme was sort of like, the idea for that is sort of taking every single character in the game and writing a theme that relates to every character, including the cast members. And so that was sort of how I wrote the main theme. But then every legend has its own theme, so the theme music is playing while you're playing the legend. And then we also have this other mechanic in the game when you're playing as the cast. And basically, there's we have this something called fear damage. And when you get to 100 fear damage, you're revealed through the walls to the killer, to the legend. And when you're revealed to the legend, their fear music plays for the cast. So it's a sort of like a variation of the theme, or potentially the climax of their theme song that plays for the cast as they're getting chased. Because quite often when you're revealed, you're getting chased. And something that is, we talked a lot about as far as design. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Dead by Daylight, which is
Sure.
another horror game. But like what they do in their game, as far as like music and stuff, they have a terror radius that's on the legend. So if you're just if the legend's just near, or if the killer's near you, you start to hear their music. And we didn't really,
and a heartbeat too, I think, with
right.
them.
And so we sort of took an opposite approach to that. We but while still also captivating a very thrilling and intense situation. So like when the terror radius is near you, you kind of like, you have your wits about, you're like looking around and stuff. But in our game, you don't have that experience. It's more based upon what your fear level's at, and you can reduce your fear level by going to light sources and stuff to reduce your fear. But it's not until that you're like fully revealed that you hear the actual main fear theme kick in, and you have. Before that, you have the fear themes. They like build up to the main fear theme, so that'll play like a softer version of it. And as you get more and more fear, it'll start to get more intense. And then once you're fully revealed, it'll play the main fear theme. But then I guess like to focus more on your question, getting the themes for the characters was one of my biggest priorities, and just really understanding like the lore behind them and how they played. For example, this was the most recent song I wrote for the game, which was the legend Edith in the game, and she's like a demonic, slow-moving legend that teleports around and stalks her prey by teleporting near you unsuspectingly, and she has these clones on the map that look exactly like her, so you kind of don't know which one's real. And since her movements were so slow, I wrote a really slow piece that really tried to captivate the dread of her gameplay. and her just her ominous presence that could be around any corner. And there's so much to it, but I think that's a little taste as far as like how some of the music and some of the inspiration was derived from.
So it's pretty much finding a voice through music to reflect those characters proper in the right way, which I mean that sounds like
to create that feeling you should have in that moment. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit akin to the Puppet Master theme. Like you want players to think of those characters when they're not looking on the screen. I always use like Star Wars as the best example, like the Darth Vader theme. You hear the Darth Vader theme and he's not on the screen, he's around somewhere,
Yeah.
Sure.
That's like one of the most iconic, best themes that, really sells the character. And so it's just thinking a lot about the character's lore and how they work, but also how they operate in the game. Are they like a fast-moving legend that like is very chaotic and is very ruthless, or are they more slow-moving and foreboding and terrifying in some other way? And all of those elements are sort of taken into consideration as far as like how fast the tempo of the music is, and what maybe types of rhythms I might decide to use, and what instruments I might for example, like one really easy way to describe this is like Punky's theme. He's this pumpkin head monster, and when you think of like Halloween, there's an instrument called a theremin that you kind of like always attribute to sort of like Halloween spooky time, and in Punky's theme, there's a lot of the theremin use in his theme, and so it's even about the specific instruments I chose for each character, like feeling like, and for example, like Corey, there's a killer doll in our game, and I used a lot of like bell sounds, like children sounding piano sounds. For
This stuff just is always the creepiest.
So yeah, hopefully that gives a pretty good window into some of the process there.
So I've got about 2 more questions for you, Lace. I don't know if you've got anything else.
I figured I would organically jump in since I knew I wasn't as familiar with all of the horror icons, and
Great.
I apologize.
No problem.
Figured I was just dressing on this one.
No problem. I mean, you've chimed in.
I am, yeah. No, I'm definitely interested in this though. Like I've just been staring at the art design and everything. Like I really love the art design in the game. I just love the colors and how it pops, and I'm just scared to jump in there because I'm a wuss when it comes to scary games. So it's chasing me. I'll probably just stop moving and be like, all right, fine, take it.
Well, you know what the best thing to do about how to overcome your fears, right?
Just do it.
You face it. Yeah, you gotta do it.
Just find a baseball bat and hit it in the head.
Maybe you're right. Like we were talking before, I just need to jump in and just go kill. Where I feel like I'm maybe not.
Well, hey, not as a plug for our game, but there is a free version of our game you could try, no risk to you.
It's true.
So
honestly, I have downloaded the demo and looked at it several times.
Okay.
And I'm like, maybe I'll do it during the daylight.
We'll just have to. We'll do it together. We'll do it together. I'll hold your hand. Make sure you're safe.
That'll work. I can watch horror and all that all day long. As soon as I'm in control, I don't know what it is, man.
It's spooky season.
Something
You got
switches off.
You got to get in the mood for jack-o'-lanterns and
True.
Halloween werewolves and stuff. It's perfect time of year.
So the one out of my last 2 questions that I have, since you are playing with Puppet Master, you're playing with Radu. I remember you were talking about Video Zone earlier, and I don't know if you remember this or not, because this was the biggest tease that never came about. And I think it was after Puppet Master 3's, or it was in Puppet Master 3's Video Zone, was the promise of Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, and it never got it, or at least a proper one.
We have the Sci-Fi Channel, yeah.
Yeah, we're not counting that. But Demonic Toys, Doll Man, any of these characters, something you guys have thought about maybe hopefully getting your hands on too?
I mean, I can't say anything definitive, but you know, I'm a huge Full Moon fan. Like, I like more than just Puppet Master. You know, I watched Demonic Toys this morning. I've been doing my horror movie a day for October. You know, and I picked Demonic Toys today because of the podcast. I was like, we're talking about some Full Moon stuff. You know, we watch some Full Moon. So, you know, anything's possible. We'll have to wait and see.
Guess you'll just have to follow their socials and get in their Discord.
Yes.
You'll be apprised of all the new stuff.
I mean, if Doll Man or Jack Death happens to show up, maybe, possibly, all I can hope for is Tim Thomerson's right there with him. You know, that would be a chef's kiss to that.
That would be the way to go.
Lastly, I heard, I like to lurk in the Discord. I saw someone.
We're major lurkers.
Lurk away.
I saw someone mention that your game, the Puppet Master game, was actually seen in Baby Oopsie. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. We had a little stealth announcement in Baby Oopsie. So over the summer, Full Moon released a movie, spin-off movie to Demonic Toys starring the lead toy, Baby Oopsie Daisy. And our Puppet Master game makes a guest appearance in some on like kids playing a video game, and you know, you see a couple of shots of our game, shots that aren't in the trailer, you know, and Baby Oopsie kills him while he's playing Puppet Master, and it's delightful. I'm so happy that it made it in there. But it's very reminiscent of Demonic Toys 1, where, you know, the security guard was watching Puppet Master 2 on his TV, so it's kind of a callback to that, while also kind of doing like a stealth announcement, like, hey, there's a Puppet Master game. And at the time, people would ask in the Discord, like, hey, what is this, you guys? I'm like, I don't know, maybe we'll tell you in September. You know, like, if it is. And then, you know, we were able to actually announce it. So but yeah, it was super cool. That was us. Yep.
Kind of piggybacking off of that just a little bit, you know, seeing as how you've got all this lore for a character like Punky, and you're hanging out with Full Moon somewhat, you know, talking to him. I mean, how awesome would it be if there was a Punky movie? You know, Full Moon produced, Charles Band directed. Why not?
You know, that would be, you know, if you thought comics were hard, I would need to Voltron myself to make a movie at this stage with the game in the production right now.
I mean, you've got the ideas, you've got a score, you know, you've got a composer right there. So I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It sounds like you're getting it done. I mean, it could happen.
You know, we're taking it, you know, step at a time, working on the game right now. You know, we got Puppet Master right, you know, coming up next, and you know, what happens after that, you know, who knows? But, you know, I have thought about making, you know, movies for these characters. You know, that's the inspiration was from film, and I was like, well, let's bring it back to film. You know, when we announced our legend Killer Keith, we did a little live action segment for his announcement, and we got a guy dressed as Killer Keith. He stabs me in the head with a knife and drags me away, and, you know, we did our own little slasher flick in like 3 minutes.
Interactive movie.
Right.
Saying.
Yeah.
Go back Netflix.
Definitely thought about it, you know.
I'm hoping that maybe in a couple of years, once everything kind of gets all straightened away, maybe I'll see a trailer that says Punky the movie or whatever it is coming from Full Moon Features. That'd be a delight.
That would be really fun.
And just have that really moment to yourself where you're like, I knew them when.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I really thank you and appreciate you coming and talking horror movies and your games. And for anybody who might be interested in this, I'm going to put links down below to the games. Go check them out. Trailers, everything will be down below.
Awesome.
Just got released, y'all. September 24th. Full release. Go play. Go play. Don't be like me and be too scared.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having us on. It's been a blast.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really appreciate the questions, and it's been super awesome.
Well, maybe we can get you back on once Puppet Master is finally done and released, and we can talk about that some more, because I can
I'll
talk
get
about
caught
Puppet
up on
Master all day.
everything.
Oh,
Yes,
so
and
could
that'll
I.
give her plenty
I'll
of
get
time.
caught up
Yeah, sounds
on all the
great.
stuff I should have been watching when I was 10, apparently.
But again, guys, it's been an absolute blast talking to you guys. And
Well, before we let them go, where should we have the folks follow you, fine humans, to keep up to date?
We have a Twitter account at October Games. We have a Instagram, which is October Games Studio on Instagram, and we have a Facebook account, which is, I think it's just October Games. You just look up October Games, and you'll find us on Facebook. Our website, OctoberGames.com, has a link to our Discord. Open invite to anyone. Anyone's welcome.
Yeah.
And you can find our game Horror Legends on Steam right now. And our Subspecies DLC is available also on Steam, so check us out there. We have a free demo for Horror Legends,
Yes.
like Nick had mentioned. It allows you to play as one cast member and one legend for free. When you play on any map, it works with anyone that has the full version. So if you bought the game, you're like, well, maybe my brother can play with me, and like, you can, get your brother to play. You can download the free version,
There you go.
yeah, and maybe he'll get into it and want to buy the game too.
There you go.
Everything goes right back to our development for Puppet Master and Horror Legends and the future of October Games. So any support is very welcome, and we thank you for it immensely.
Absolutely. We love indie games. We love indie game developers, and anything we can do to get your name out there, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you so
Just
much.
Have more
Thank you,
fun
sir.
with indie. I'm telling you, man. There's great stuff out there. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
Have a great Easter day.
What about them? What about those
They're
guys,
just
huh?
freaking lovely. I'm telling you, we meet some of the most lovely people.
I learned, and I should have asked while we were talking. I guess in my head I was just like, nah, I don't know. I guess I've been saying the actor's name wrong who plays the vampire, because I'm sitting there looking at it saying Anders Hove, and they're sitting there saying something like honest, and I'm like, have I been saying this wrong this whole time? Because I don't know. I'm a bumpkin. They've met the guy, so I'm sure they know exactly how to say it.
Hopefully you would know better than I have, unless he's never corrected you.
Well, so I just, I'll take their word for it. They know better than I. They've met the man. But anyway, hey, I learned something. So,
Excellent. Well, that's our show. Thank you all for sticking around for this. I hope you enjoyed it. They're lovely. Make sure you go check out all of their socials and keep an eye on the game and go play some spoopies. Remember, you got that demo too. But yeah, you could just hit us up sometime on Twitter at SuperMegaCrash, or just send an email to supermegacrash@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram to view the weekly icon art that Steven puts his time and love into. And you could support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred platform, and even going to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. You can tell your friends to find the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, or just search Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and even going to youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Lacey Finley.
I'm Stephen White, and I should have said this up top. If you haven't already, go check out Podcasters Assemble this week.
Oh, yes.
Where they talk about Ghostbusters 2. Plus, go check out Journey into Fandom, which I was happy to guest spot on, where we just talk about the fandoms, random fandoms of things. And I was talking about, obviously, video games and how good and bad it can be. But, yeah, go check those out. Journey into Fandom.
Steven's everywhere.
And Casters Assemble. And even a new Cinema Salsa last week, too. There you go.
See? Get them dulcet tones from Steven. In 4 different ways now. There
That's
you
right.
go. But while you're listening to those podcasts, until then...
Game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.